What up, everyone? NFL Fantasy Today show. It's week 3. We got Thursday nights. We got a Thursday night football game. We got a ton of injuries to talk about. Hopefully, you're 2-0. Worst case, 1-1. If you're 0-2, you probably haven't been watching. It's your host, John Sales. I got Jason Baum to the right of me. I got Brian Shane underneath. Jason handles the injuries. Brian's doing our projection model. We're going to be going through everything today. So first up, what's up? What's up, Jason?
Not too much. Hey, Niners are 2-0. We'll take it.
Okay, I guess. Okay. Brian?
Eagles are 2-0 and pissing off the whole NFL, so it's fun.
I just saw a stat. It was like 31 teams have like a downfield pass of between like 10 and 20 yards, and only one team doesn't.
You know what? 2-0 is 2-0.
Exactly. They don't ask how.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Jason, your shade lighting thing always reminds me of what's the Vietnam movie that Francis Ford Coppola directed? Apocalypse Now. Colonel Hertz. Hertz. Oh. Anyways, okay. So what's the most pressing issues tonight? We got Bills Dolphins, which is probably going to be an absolute crushing. Brian, what jumps to mind?
I mean, tonight it's just, will the Dolphins offense do anything? Will they fight for Mike McDaniel? Like, what, I think last I checked, it was like 12.5 the line. It might have moved up even more. It's most likely going to be a spanking, but will your Dolphins get any points? Pretty much. You still have A-Chain Hill, and is Waddle playing? I know he was kind of questionable, but
Waddle's going to play.
You got at least 2 of them people are probably starting, so see if those guys can produce. And then on the Bills side, just almost start everybody if you can.
You think? So I did the preview. I kind of find it's maybe the opposite. So how do you approach this? You got 12-point spread, Buffalo at home. Miami defense sucks. But we know Buffalo does that kind of Philly thing, right? They'd rather run it 40 times for 250 than pass 30 for 250, right? I'd say they're more likely to run for more yards than they throw tonight. Wouldn't you say?
I don't know. I mean, they're projected 31 points. That's a lot. Like, unless you think it's just going to be 2 James Cook touchdowns and 2 Josh Allen touchdowns, then by all means, anytime touchdown of both of them combined is like plus 170. So if that's what you think, go for it. But there's going to be some passing. And I mean, I think Coleman is a good bet here. And even like if you're desperate in a deep league, Josh Palmer and Khalil Shakir is probably a flex play. So it's just, there's going to be a lot of scoring to be had. And I just like to kind of have a piece of those offenses.
Okay, because this is the eternal question for me. It's like, do you back the team heavily favored? We got a high Vegas point total, which I know is your kind of go-to metric. But we got Miami. Buffalo defense isn't very good. Secondary's banged up. But who's going to be passing the whole game? So, like, would you rather, like, I know the talent for Tyreek and Waddle is better than, Shakir and Coleman, but you'd rather bet on the Buffalo guys, even in with the big potential lead, than the garbage time catch up.
I mean, I don't know about if I'd rather bet on them. Like, I think I still have Miami guys doing pretty well, but like, it's just like if I'm choosing between one of the Buffalo guys and somebody else, it's like I'm going to look at, all right, this team's projected 31 points versus like I'm not starting Josh Palmer over Tyreek Hill. Like that's just
no, we're not saying that. Okay, but like, okay, so let me frame it a different way. Let's say the Bills were 12.5-point underdogs. Would you like their passing, the receivers, and like tight end options more, or and vice versa with Miami?
For me, I actually still like Buffalo's because I believe in the guy distributing the football for Buffalo a lot more than the guy distributing the football for Miami. And in his own words, Josh Allen is twice as good as Tua.
Okay. Because, historically, Allen destroys Miami, right? Like, it's just it's crazy. The stats are insane. Brian, any worry that are you in a survivor pool?
No, I'm in one of those, like, chopped leagues for fantasy, but not just picking the survivor now.
Every single person is going Buffalo in the survivor pool, right? It's going to be 98%.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't use them already, or if you're not saving them, yeah.
Yeah, would that give you? Well, they probably didn't use them. Would that give you guys any pause? Because football is cruel. Like, is there any chance Miami shocks the world? I was like last year, Buffalo had to kick a 61-yarder to win in like week 12, right? So it's like
There's always a chance. And these guys actually played on Thursday night last year, and Josh Allen did not have his best game. But Josh Allen's also coming off a down fantasy game last week, so I feel like he's going to account for a lot of touchdowns, or at least a few touchdowns tonight. He's also thrown at least 2 touchdowns in 13 of 14 career games against the Dolphins.
All right, so that favors more for Bryant. All right, Jason, we're going to get the injuries because it's QB Armageddon. But let's just stay on this Thursday for a bit, Brian. Where do you have Tua? What's his Tua's passing yards? Let's go Tua Allen head to head. Obviously, Allen's a better fantasy player because he's going to run. But let's just for passing.
Here, give me a second to pull it. Just for passing, I have Tua under 200 and Josh Allen at like 267.
Sorry, you have Tua under 200 yards?
Yep.
Okay.
195. I mean, they've been terrible. Like I don't know what else to say. So they've been quite poor, and it's just like, yes, this defense hasn't been the best, but they've also played some pretty good teams. So I don't know. I don't trust Miami. I trust A-Chain, and I'd start Hill just because you kind of have to, and that's about it.
Okay, that's fair. Okay, Jason, what about Cook A-Chain head to head? Obviously Allen too is not even fair. So A-Chain Cook's great because Cook's like going to run the ball up their head. He's going to score. A-Chain's probably the best receiving back in the league. If they're down, he's going to get check downs. Who would you rather start for fantasy? I think that's a really good head to head.
It's a great head to head. It's literally one of the top fantasy head to head matchups we're going to find this season. For right now, though, I'm still going Cook. Cook is off to a very hot start. He's had 20-plus points in each of the first 2 weeks. So a little more consistency there, and I just trust that right now.
Okay. Last thing in this game, Brian, my favorite thing to do is trying to get your answer, like the analytical part, which you always kind of somehow skirt the answer. So we've had 2 weeks, and Miami defense looks terrible, but I think they were pretty good last year. Where's your metric on the defense? Because you got a high point total, so that's got a more factor in more of the recency, right?
Yeah, I mean, the model is taking into account the point total. So there's that. And then it's kind of, from there, it gives me like yards per point that defense gives up.
Okay.
So it's still waiting a little bit more from previous season stats, but taking into account the actual over-under, like it still takes into account kind of how they're doing this year. Because if they're projected to give up 31 points, that says a lot. And then it's, all right, given how they performed in the past, 17 games, what do I expect the yardage to be from that point total? And then that's what drives everything.
So this is a little above my head and pay grade, but so if the total's really high and then the game script is implying negative game script, how is 2 yards only at 200? Because it's not like the Bills secondary stopped anyone, right? Lamar went crazy. Obviously, Fields was shit.
It's a 49. Last I checked, it was 49.5 point over under, and they're plus 12.5. So they're only projected to have 18.5 points.
Oh, okay. See there, that makes sense.
So it's not like they're projected to have a lot. That's why Bills numbers are through the roof everywhere, because they're projected to have 31 points.
Yeah. Okay.
So if they were projected, if it was like a 24-31, and that's what it was, then yeah, they'd be projected way better in passing yards and all that. But with such a low over under on their point total, it's going to be driving lower stats for everybody.
Okay. And then last point in this, but so just the 2 yards I can't reconcile, because it's like, if they're going to be down, he's going to be passing. I've learned not to discount the model because it's right so many times, over the vibes. But do you see, is there a little hole in that he's probably more likely to pass for 300 than 200 yards, even if most of them are garbage time?
No, because like if you're being terrible, like, all right, what if he could easily go into the third quarter with 100 yards and then pass for 90 in the fourth, Like they could just be getting absolutely spanked, and then they get garbage time. And like, how much garbage time are you going to get? You get 1 or 2 drives.
Yeah, sure. Especially if Buffalo's doing long drives with running. Okay. Well, maybe we'll get back to this game for a bit. All right, Jason. I called it a QB Armageddon for injuries. Let's roll them through. We can start with your guy, Niners. Mac Jones looked good. Purdy might or may not play. Walk me through it.
Yeah, Brock Purdy, was dealing with the turf toe and a shoulder issue. He missed last week's game. He has been on the field for practice both times this week. He practiced in limited capacity yesterday. No official word to what he was doing today, but obviously a very encouraging sign. Even as early as this morning, Adam Schefter tweeted he's got a chance to play Sunday. It's a big divisional game against the Cardinals, who are also 2-0. So there is a lot at stake. Jones did look good, but there were definitely times where the Niners absolutely missed Brock in that game.
Okay, because the numbers look pretty good. Juwan Jennings had a monster game, so like really the downgrade on paper wasn't as big as I think it probably is, on turf or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, definitely the mobility part was a thing. Jones was a little immobile. The first drive was hideous. I haven't seen that poor of QB play from the Niners since my teenage years. Mac Jones just 3 just awful incompletions. I even remember texting my chats for Niner fans being like, "We're so cooked. We're actually going to lose to Spencer Rattler. It was that bad." But luckily he settled in and he played really, really well. But yeah, the mobility part was an issue. Brock is a lot better with his feet than Mac Jones is. So I think that was an area where the Niners did miss him. And obviously Mac had the 1 turnover, as opposed to Brock's, 2 bad interceptions the week before. But, we'll see what happens. But obviously things are trending very nicely in that direction for Brock to play Sunday.
Okay.
I have a slightly mean question to ask. Who's better, Mac Jones or Trey Lance?
Ooh, I mean, you got to go with Mac Jones at this point. He's actually proven something.
Fair.
Maybe for fantasy you might take Trey Lance, but I mean,
no, I'm still taking Mac Jones.
Fair enough.
You can't do anything when you're the second stringer.
You can't do anything if you haven't proven anything.
And he's gotten lots of chances. Okay, let's not bury the lead here. So Joe Burrow out, Jake Browning was in. Where Joe Burrow's surgery, he's probably toast. Do you like Jake Browning? I think he threw 3 picks, but he had the game-winning drive. I'm in a league where I screenshotted. I bid $99 for Superflex on waiver wire and forced the guy who had Burrow to pay the $100. So that was fun.
Yeah, I don't like Jake Browning this weekend. Not against the Brian Flores defense. Down the road, I actually don't hate it. Again, look at the complement of pass catchers he has. There's not many better situations to walk into. And he's already done it before, too. He's started a few games, and he was very respectable in his time, as the starter in 2023. He had his moments, and, yeah, he's still got Jamar Chase. He still has T. Higgins, and now he has Chase Brown.
Okay, so but what do we do now with Chase and Higgins? Brian, you can jump in on this too. Where would you have Chase ranked in the wide receiver rankings? Would you rather have Chase? Obviously, you'd rather have CeeDee Lamb than Jamar Chase at this point, right?
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Justin Jefferson, we'll say no, that's because the backup QB too. What about Nico Collins? Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors or Jamar Chase? There we go.
I think this week I'd have Neighbors.
Oh, rest of the season.
I think I'd go Chase because, there's going to be a quarterback change for the Giants, and then he's going to have to get used to a new quarterback. There might even be 2 changes depending on how poor Russell does after the great. I mean, you have to give him respect. He had a great game last week, but depending how poorly he does, maybe you see Jameis, then you see Jackson Dart. So, there's going to be QB change there. Ideally, with Cincinnati, they paid their backup. They trust him so far. So hopefully it's just one QB. I think there's a little bit more stable there.
Okay. So we saw he might, because backup QBs, they probably don't make as many reads. We saw he hyper targets Chase. But Higgins, so what's Higgins' fantasy value? Let's say the wide receiver 2s, George Pickens or T. Higgins?
That's tough. That's pretty even to me.
Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith.
I'm taking Higgins over them.
Okay.
I actually like Pickens over Higgins. Again, I like throwing the fact Dak's still able to throw to him at this point, and Pickens just thrives more as a number 2.
Yeah, I think Pickens is more if you want more of a boom, and I think Higgins is a bit safer than Pickens. Pickens can throw a fit and have a 0 game. I think Higgins, you'll have a little bit higher of a floor at least.
Yeah, it's just we've seen now Higgins with Burrow. He was wide receiver 2 in fantasy points per game. Okay, what about some of the rookies? Emeka Ibuka, right? We got Godwin maybe coming back. Do you have Higgins or Ibuka?
That's tough for me because I still think Ibuka is a sell high because you have Godwin coming back. You have so many people coming back. Like people discount Jalen McMillan, who's also was hurt, and like he's coming back. I'm not saying he's going to steal a bunch of work, but it's just another body in that wide receiver room that could take snaps or could take targets. So I still think he's a sell high.
Okay.
And yeah, he's a rookie, and it could burn me. I just don't care.
Also banged up.
Yeah.
Ibuka? Yeah.
Yeah, a little dinged up right now. So something to be careful of.
Okay, let's keep going. We got another more. We got JJ McCarthy apparently has a high ankle sprain. So we got Brian's guy, Carson Wentz. Anyone a Wentz believer?
This week.
Yeah. I think for the situation, again, I believe in Kevin O'Connell a lot. I think he's really proven to be able to work well with quarterbacks. Obviously, McCarthy, out of his 8 quarters of football, 7 have been bad. But I still think he'll figure it out eventually. I still believe that O'Connell can get the most out of Wentz. And Wentz can, do the trick. And especially, this week against the Bengals, I don't trust their pass rush at all.
So, Brian, who are we starting Wentz over, right? Playing Cincy, you got Jefferson, we don't get Addison back. Aaron Jones is out. Jordan Mason, he's more of a pure runner than the dual threat Jones is. Are we starting does Wentz, is he above Penix? Is he above Browning? If Brock starts, where do you have him?
I mean, of all of those backups, but we have Mariota, we have Mac Jones. I think we have Mariota. We have Carson Wentz. We have
Browning.
Tyrod.
Oh, yeah.
I'm trying to think who. And Browning. I have Wentz I have him at QB 20. I do have Tyrod, Mac, and Mariota over him. Mariota strictly just because he'll at least get some rushing. I'm not saying he's going to be great at the Jaden Daniels at playing like him, but he'll have a similar type game. I think he's kind of a safer version just due to the rushing floor. Mac Jones kind of showed that he can do something in that San Francisco offense. Tyrod will at least rush a little, so we'll see about him. I would be a little more comfortable with Wentz this week over Tyrod, despite my rankings, but I in a 2 QB league, I think he's a quality start this week.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I just at home playing Cincy, right? You just got to go with the matchup. And Wentz loves to run too, right? I mean, he might, other than
Mariota. Good at it, but yeah.
Huh?
So he's not too good at it anymore, but yeah.
Probably not. All right, Jason, and then we got the last one. I think maybe Jaden Daniels. He usually plays, but he hasn't been practicing. What's going on?
Yeah, so Jaden Daniels missed practice yesterday with a knee sprain. The Commanders said they were going – I almost just used their former name. Commanders said they were going to update his status tomorrow. So we don't know anything what happened today. But as of right now, truly day-to-day, but no practice yesterday. Seems to be trending towards Marcus Mariota starting this weekend, which against his former team, the Raiders. Is also a very interesting matchup that I kind of like. Although the Raiders' defensive line has actually showed a little bit of promise the first couple of weeks.
I think they're first against the run. I think they have the biggest kind of rush pass defensive split. Elite versus the run, terrible versus the pass.
Yeah. They I mean, obviously they showed how many holes they have in their secondary. They let Quentin Johnston burn them on Monday for a long 60-yard touchdown. But if they shut down Amari and Hampton, and they made Najee Harris's life a little difficult as well.
Okay. Brian, what was I going to say? Now, what did you do? So Jaden Daniels, if he plays, do you start him in fantasy regardless? Because if he's less than 100%, he could get hurt again.
You kind of have to. If you spend up that much, you kind of have to. I'm local to the DC area somewhat, and I just all of those fans just to me think they kind of want him to sit out. Maybe a little scarred from the RG3 experience of sprained knee, comes back maybe a little too early, especially on their turf. I would be very surprised if he played this week. I could be wrong, and if you drafted him high, you kind of have to start him, but
You'd play him over any of the backup QB starting? You'd play him over even Wentz, Tyrod, Browning?
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Just
because I don't
hurt.
even want to waste that roster spot on another QB if he's playing.
Okay. Wow. Okay. Jason, well, okay, what else we got? Let's get through these injuries.
Yeah. So outside of those, let's see. We had the Indianapolis Colts put a scare into everybody yesterday with Tyler Warren and Josh Downs not practicing yesterday due to toe and ankle injuries, respectively. Great news. They both returned to practice today. So I think I'm very optimistic that both of them will play. Tyler Warren is obviously a must start. He's been, he's one of those rare first round tight ends that have, kind of lived up to the part so far. Because the other one, Colson Loveland, has done absolutely nothing. So that's obviously good news. And if he plays, you should start him, especially against the Titans. And if Downs plays, I think he's also a sneaky good play this week.
Okay, yeah, Downs kind of got on the board in week 2 after a bad week 1. And then Tucker Kraft actually just got hurt like an hour ago. Hurt his knee at practice.
Oh, boy.
Supposed not to be too severe, but where are you guys playing guys who are hurt? Because I find we kind of they're good to go, so we assume they're 100%. But guys who play hurt rarely have good games. I feel like I'm trying to train my brain to, if they're not 100%, I'm going to bench them.
I've always gotten burned by that, to be honest. I think a guy's hurt and I think they're not going to play very well. They end up going for like 20 points, and I'm just like,
yeah.
I think it just depends on the guy. If he's a guy like Jaden, have to play.
Brian, where?
I'm pretty similar. I just think it's like if he's a onesie position and I don't want to like add another position and he's playing, like that I'm just gonna start him. Like if they're a stud, if it's like a Tyler Warren, I'm gonna start. Like I got him in a bunch of my leagues. I got lucky with that. And like if I had Jaden Daniels in this situation and he was starting, I would start him. It's like the wide receiver 3s or flex options. Those are the guys that if they're hurt, or like running back 2, like if they're hurt, those are the guys that I'll maybe steer off of because I have somebody else in a similar realm that's just a little bit safer. But otherwise, it's like you spend that draft capital. It's really hard to sit them.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. Okay, so was that any other injuries, Jason? Or we can move on to some week 3 stuff.
I think everything else that we've kind of covered has been, covered at this point. Obviously, Burrow to IR, Aaron Jones to IR, Jaden Reed's going on IR. Nothing else really of significance and fantasy relevance.
Yeah, how do you feel about?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, how do you feel about that Packers receiving room?
I mean, it's kind of Dobbs and Wicks, but I think Dobbs is the one, but I think Tucker Kraft was really the wide receiver 1.
You still have Golden too.
Yeah, I don't know what their plan is to deploy him right now, but so far it's been very underwhelming. Which is fine if you have him in a dynasty format like I do, unless you played him last week, which I did. But yeah, I mean, right now you got to be frustrated if you took that guy in the 7th or 8th round and you're seeing like 2 targets.
They probably started him. The problem is Green Bay is following this great team mold, right? They're a run-heavy team. They got a great defense, so they have no problem just pounding the rock 25, 35 times. They don't need Jordan Love to throw it, right? So they're playing Cleveland. They're big favorites. I don't see Love. I see Love having, probably going 20 to 25 for 200 yards, right? So they're not going to have the explosive game. So like Dobbs, wide receiver 3 flex option, but it's they're kind of the Green Bay's kind of a stay away fantasy team at this point, unless you have Jacobs.
I'd say Love is good enough too, unless you have Lamar Jackson or something. But
no, I Love's great QB, but for fantasy, I mean, is he going to throw for 300 yards once this game, once this season? Like just schedule based. I think they're one of the highest pass or run. What is it? Neutral rate, rush over neutral rate or something. I don't know, but I just I don't want these good teams with great defenses. I want no part of for fantasy outside of the rushing game.
So far this season, Green Bay's rushed it 46% of the time. Or no, 53% of the time and passed it 46%. But their touchdowns have mostly come through the air, 2/3 coming through the air. So
hasn't Love cracked 20 fantasy points in each of the first 2 games?
If so, yeah. I mean, he's great. He's been awesome. He's been lights out. He's a great QB. It's just It's not the situation that I love. So I guess he's got a super high floor, but the ceiling's not there, which is fine.
Yeah. He's
Okay.
great for a 2 QB league where you just need to count on getting 15 plus points maybe. Or around 15.
Exactly. Yeah. For a super flex league, he's great. So I want to talk about. So let's do some like kind of fraud. I was trying to think of the other word for fraud. Real or fraud? Fraud or fiction go so well, but they're both the same thing. Who are some players through week 2 that have struggled that you're benching or that you're just going to keep doubling down on? Right? Like Drake London's been bad. Nico Collins hasn't been great. These are two of my huge favorite targets going into the season. We got some of the lesser known guys like running backs. Like Isaiah Pacheco has been terrible. Anyone else got some other guys?
Eagles receivers.
Yeah, Eagles receivers, right? So let's stay on them. Eagles receivers. Brian, what are you doing? You're probably playing AJ Brown but benching Devontae Smith?
Yeah, I mean it's going to depend on if Goddard comes back for whether I play Smith or not. Just because normally they do. When one of them is out, the other two do pretty well. It's almost a joke at this point how much they're running it and how much they don't care how their offense does. But they win, so I don't know. If I have Jalen Hurts, I'd buy low on him. If not, I'd just kind of hold where I'm at, not really touch it. It's hard to guess on how they're going to do. Some teams might be desperate, and if it's a desperate team, then yeah, maybe I'd sell low. Like I'd sell Egbuka for AJ Brown, which who knows if they take or not, but it's a good like buy low, sell high, I think trade you could make for an AJ Brown, but I'm not giving up a ton for him.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's just I feel like we do this every year. Guys have slow starts. I think Terry McLaurin was like outside the top 50 in weeks 1 and 2, and then finishes like a wide receiver 6. Jason, what about you? Who are some good buy lows? Or I like the sell low. Like it's like if you have AJ Brown, you don't think he's going to come back. Just take what you can get for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind selling low on AJ Brown or Devontae Smith right now myself. Also sell high at least. I mean, I know he's not part of the rock, but I kind of agree with Brian here as a Buka. With all the guys that they're going to have coming back, and Mike Evans is ultimately going to get his. Like he's not going to have 100 yards over the course of just 2 games for the entire season. He'll have his 100 games. So
we'll see.
Yeah,
I can say Mike Evans is going down all year. So far, I'm right.
I'll say I'll never doubt Mike Evans until he doesn't get 1,000 yards in a season. I will never doubt Mike Evans.
That is a good strategy. Okay, so here Zay Flowers, he's kind of my guy. So like the litmus test, right? For all these, like obviously, Nico Collins for Zay Flowers are going to take Nico, right? Right, obviously.
I think so, yeah.
It's not it's not obvious. Okay.
Zay Flowers is just like my ultimate hold
right now.
Because like if Flowers, I just think Flowers kind of has he has such a high target share. He's like in the upper 30% of target share, and no one else really is deserving of more on the Ravens. They have a bunch of kind of solid, not great options, and he's just getting everything. So he's so safe that I don't think the people who have him are selling him much. And if I have him, I don't really feel like selling.
Okay, I got him in a couple leagues, but the sell high does make sense, right? Because I think they were number 1 in fantasy points per game to tight end. Mark Andrews has done nothing. Likely practiced today, so if Likely's back, and Andrews obviously is going to get a little bit better, the tight end target share will go up, right? So there is an argument for that. But I love me some Zay Flowers. Jason, you were trying to overtalk Ryan?
Sorry, yeah, as I say, I actually like Zay at this point too. The target share is too good, and his quarterback is accurately getting him the football.
Yeah. Okay. So let's keep it. Let's keep it with Zay. So Drake London, right? London was one of my huge targets. He's done nothing through 2 games. So Brian, Jason, who do you have? Zay Flowers or Drake London rest of the season?
I think I'd stick Zay.
Wow.
He's a little safer, and I just like the QB play way more. They're always gonna. Not always, but I feel like they're going to be projected more points than Atlanta almost every week. Like, it's just a safer offense to be a part of. And I did confirm Zay Flowers is at a 42.5% target share this season.
Yeah, but so that's kind of a sell high point because that's an unsustainable number, right?
Yeah, but if he keeps 30, then he's a stud.
Yeah.
He can go down 10% and still be an absolute stud for fantasy.
Okay, maybe let's down. So, Jason, let's talk about some of your Niners guys, right? Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings look great. We probably don't have Kittle till week 6. Where are you with them? And are they sell high, buy lows?
I would sell high on Juwan Jennings because JJ, once Kittle comes back and Ayuk comes back, he's going to be that third down guy again. Third and Juwan, although he's obviously dependable on any down. I think Pearsall was more the guy drafted to be an every down receiver who can make that play on literally any of the 3 downs, 3 or sometimes 4 downs. So yeah, I'd sell high on JJ.
So would you trade Ricky Pearsall? What are we talking about?
Well, funny you mentioned that. If you're alluding to something we were talking about pre-show, I would not trade Ricky Pearsall. I feel like things are just going to get better for him, especially once Ayuk gets back.
Brian, where do you put Ricky at? Because I thought maybe coming this season, Zay Flowers, Ricky Pearsall were kind of in the same boat. Young wide receivers, good offenses, both explosive. Obviously, Flowers is taking a leap, but where's Pearsall at? Kind of tiers. Give me a couple of comparison wide receivers for him.
I'm not that high on him.
Oh, wow.
Everyone says Juwan Jennings sucks, yet he obviously has outperformed him last week. And then that room's just going to get healthier. They're just going to get Kittle back. They're going to get Ayuk.
Right.
They're just getting more weapons. Plus, he hasn't outperformed the quote unquote very average Juwan Jennings. I think he's a talent, sure, but it will be a crowded room. At the moment, you have a backup, even with Purdy. Maybe Purdy just likes him more. I don't know. Maybe that's the thing that you could convince me of, but he just hasn't really shown it. Yeah, he had a good week 1. Great. Why didn't he have a good week 2 when you had a banged up receiver? Why did the banged up receiver do better? It's just not a safe person for me. So I would very much sell him high to Jason and see what happens. If we were in a league like that, I'm not the most confident in him.
Okay. Wow. Jason, rebuttal? The Ayuk point's good because I was reading today he might come back week 6. So if you get Kittle Ayuk back, that could be a 50% target share.
Yeah, definitely. But still, they drafted Ricky Pearsall to be a number 1 receiver because he gets open in separation and man coverage. So there's also that. So at this point, I still believe very much in Ricky Pearsall.
Yeah, I like Pearsall. Okay, let's move on to my guy, Rome Odunze, who I was banging the drum all summer. I got him in every league. He's pretty much the reason I'm 2-0 in most of my leagues. Brian, where are you at? Would you sell high? Where do you have wide receiver this week playing Dallas in a potential 60-point game? I think I'd like him wide receiver 7 in my wide receiver rankings.
I don't know exactly where I have him. I'm growing on him. I'm not I have him wide receiver 21, so he's a wide receiver 2. They still have a good amount of options on that team. Caleb hasn't shown he can be consistent. I'm not selling him if I'm in your position where I have him in a bunch of leagues, but I'm also not buying him either. He's a hold. He's somebody who I'll keep starting until he proves me wrong, but I personally don't want to pay up what someone in your position who has him is willing to take for him.
I wouldn't take AJ Brown, so
fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. Jason, what about anyone you want to talk about? Someone you think is outperforming or kicking their coverage, or even the opposite?
I don't think anyone's too overperforming right now. I think there was just a very interesting polar opposite of bounce backs and regressions in week 1 and week 2. So obviously Derrick Henry went nuclear week 1, completely regressed week 2. Neighbors and Amon-Ra were okay week 1 and just absolutely went nuclear in week 2. So I think we're seeing more of that. So we're seeing 2 ends of the extreme, and we're trying to find the truth right now about certain players.
Week 3, okay, yeah. Week 3 is the tiebreaker, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian, this is something I want to talk to you about. So in one of the high stakes leagues I'm in, it was Snake, single QB. I did so much research all year. I really felt like wide receiver was deep late running, So in every league I went in the first 4 rounds, I went 3 running backs and a tight end. And I'm in first place in almost all those leagues. Do you think there's like some sort of like analytical formula you can put to drafting each season? Obviously, it flips a bit, but like what was your strategy when you were drafting your team? So just keep it one QB kind of triple wide receiver snake.
Majority of those leagues, I did want to come out with a top QB.
A top QB, okay.
Like
for years, you argued against it.
Yeah, I just feel like recently I'm not against Josh Allen. It just normally he's drafted right where Lamar is, and I'd rather Lamar. Yeah. So normally I'd end up with either Lamar or Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
Just because I like that safety. Even when Hurts sucks, he still has a rushing touchdown, and he's one of the more safe QBs you can have in fantasy, in my opinion. So I ended up with a lot of that, and I did I wanted like 2 running backs in the first 4 to 5 rounds as well, just because it is like it's harder to find running backs that are starting. And I do think previously I used to be of the mindset of like get as many flex players and fill out your starters, like later on, starters being like tight end and QB, the onesie positions. Recently, I've been more of I want a great starting lineup. And okay. I've been doing more auction leagues too, so I pay up for that and just get kind of crap on the bench. But I've been willing to draft my QBs and tight ends a little bit earlier if I find like a good value of here's a tier break or something like that. Like I have Tyler Warren in a lot of my leagues just because to me he felt like a good value of could be a top 3 to 5 option, but also I don't have to spend up a top 3 to 5 round pick on him. So I'd say I kind of agree with you on the running back standpoint and the wide receivers being deeper. It's just you got to hit on those receivers. And it sounds like you did with Rome, but it is a risky proposition if you don't.
Yeah, true. Because I did so many mocks, and every time there's a round, there's a wide receiver I wanted. So I got Zay Flowers, I got Rome, I got Juwan Jennings, I got all these guys I like lately. Jason, so what about you? Same question. Do you have like a more defined strategy, or some people just take the best player available?
I usually tend to go best player available, at least in the drafts that I actually had this year. There were some things that I had an idea of what I was going to do. The draft did something completely different, and I kind of altered those plans. Like in one draft, I had a 12th overall pick in a 12-team league. I went JT, Drake London. I figured I would do the same, go 2 running backs on the next round, but Lamar Jackson fell to me. So obviously I'm not passing on him. That changed my strategy a little bit.
Okay, yeah. So the QB thing is so weird because for me, I'm always going late QB because I'm going to get Dak or Baker or build the stack around maybe one of my earlier round wide receivers. So Brian, you think it's more just that guaranteed safety and like because Lamar's always going to have 20, or is it the ceiling because like he might go for 45? Or you're going to say both?
Yes. If I'm almost guaranteed 20 points with Lamar, and I also know he can go for 35, 40, that's quite valuable. And I think that difference between him and a Dak Dak and Baker, like Baker's a little unfair because he was getting drafted not late. Dak I can get. He was a good value. I never really ended up with them because it just wasn't the round I was going for QBs. But like, yeah, he's safe and has a great upside. That's exactly what you want in fantasy. I don't know if we talked about this. Like I did a chopped league where it's like your team, it's like the lowest scoring team goes to waivers and is out of the league each week. So you start with an 18 teams and you go down to 1. Lamar was my first round draft. I said, that is as safe as you can get. And I'm going to ride that safety. I won't be last for the first few rounds at least because I have Lamar on my team. The rest of my team sucked. I got lucky with Javonte Williams, but like Lamar's safety and upside is so much better than so many other QBs, and it really gives a floor to your team. And I think best ball is kind of taking over some of the season long, and they're just 2 way different forms of fantasy. Best ball, you don't have to pick. So yeah, you can get a bunch of wide receivers and they're going to have their spike weeks, kind of what you mentioned with the running backs. Running backs are going to be a little safer. You're going to have the higher floor. QBs are same way where if in best ball you see a bunch of people going for the pocket passers and maybe not the safety of a scrambling QB because you have two other options on your bench that might be able to outscore. So I do think best ball is almost like it's bleeding a little bit too much into season long. And I think that's one thing I tried to think about during my drafts and take advantage of where I thought people were being a little too best ball minded.
Okay, cool. Okay. So we'll just stay on Lamar. Do you think he gives you more an advantage? Please don't say both again. The regular season where you get all the games or the fantasy playoffs where it's like you really need those spike weeks and it's a lot more kind of variance.
I mean, it is both, but playoffs I think is where he gives you the biggest one because playoffs are everyone has a good team at that point, and I need to have positional advantages. And I'm pretty much guaranteed, unless I'm playing Josh Allen, I'm pretty much guaranteed a positional advantage at that slot, and then I can make up for it elsewhere. If you're like, I think I'm pretty good in season at picking up players and figuring that out. So I'm more willing to take a Lamar or a top tight end if I think I can find the flex players later on.
Okay. Jason, anything to add before we'll move back to week 3?
No, I don't have anything to add on that.
Okay, cool. I mean, I think the QB debate's just so interesting. But for me, because I always go tight end early, I'm not going QB early as well because I tried that in my big money league and I came in last place even though I took CMC. It just rewires your team. It's like 2 picks that should be running backs that you just don't have. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm always I in every single league I either have Kittle, Bowers, or McBride. So and I'm doing really well. So knock on wood. Okay, so week 3. Jason, what's some of your favorite games to get everyone in? I think that Dallas Giants one, that Minnesota Cincy. Is there a sneaky one for you?
I don't know about a sneaky one, but I think the obvious one is Lions Ravens. I feel like that's going to be a fireworks show.
Okay.
Yeah, that Monday night is.
So you're not worried Goff on the road, outside?
It's not cold enough yet for him.
Okay. Week 1 he showed he still has that home away kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. But even still, I think that offense is too competent. I think they're going to put up a lot of points, and obviously Baltimore will counter by putting up a lot of points. So I think that game will be a very, very fun watch for everybody. One game I'm actually very interested in also, do we say Kansas City and the Giants?
Oh, sorry. No. Sorry, I said Dallas Giants. It's Dallas Bears.
Yeah. No, Kansas City. Yeah. Kansas City and the Giants has my attention. How do the Chiefs bounce back? Mahomes has had 2 very respectable fantasy weeks so far. As a quarterback, he's pushing his way back up into fantasy relevance after we're all kind of burying him a bit. The Giants are coming off a week where they put up 37 points. And the Chiefs, aren't just shutting teams down really, although they were better last week, but still give them 20. So I feel like that one also could have a lot of offensive firepower as well.
And then 2 teams where the quarterbacks are leading rushers too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Oh, go ahead, Brian.
The one thing I did hear about with Mahomes is so he's running it more, but he's scrambling. He doesn't have any designed runs. So
yeah,
I do wonder if the team is performing better. It probably means that he's being protected better and he doesn't have to scramble as much. So I almost wonder if that rushing production will kind of go away as the team performs better and the offensive line gives them. Hopefully it's supplemented by passing production, but I mean, rushing production, yard to yard and touchdown to touchdown is more valuable. So that is something to look into. Just if people think Pat Mahomes is his top 5 QB again, I would sell high on him.
Yeah, they're also 0-2. It's weird there. KC, I didn't really have any part of KC. I had a little Hollywood. Anyways, we had a question. Sorry, I forgot to get to this earlier. JLOCO or something. All right, this is kind of what we were talking about. Would you trade away Nico Collins and Jordan Mason for Rome Odunze and Chase Brown? Other wide receivers are JSN, Garrett Wilson, DJ Moore. Other running backs are Bucky, Brees. So he's stacked on both. I don't think I would trade Jordan Mason. He was someone I wanted to talk about earlier. He was also one of my must-draft players this summer. I didn't really get him anywhere. But Jason, what about you? What are you doing here? Because it's Rome, who's awesome, Jordan Mason, who's awesome, and Nico and Chase are both the early round guys.
I would I would actually make this trade at this point. Another guy you can maybe sell high on, Nico Collins. I would actually go through with this because you got to remember, like, I know I was high on Mason myself, but once Aaron Jones comes back, it's still not a guaranteed, not a full, workload or whatnot. So, and Dunze is, seemingly breaking out. He scored 3 times in 2 games. Chase Brown is still getting a lion's share of the work in Cincy. So I actually really like that move, and I would do it considering the depth that this guy has as well.
Okay, Brian, what about you? We got Chase Brown. I mean, Cincy's got one of the worst running teams in the league right now. Their O-line sucks. Backup QB. Is that a team you want to invest in for fantasy? But Houston, same thing. O-line's terrible.
I like the Nico Mason. I think he's going to do well for at least 4 weeks. And then Nico, he hasn't been the best this year, but like I like him better than Rome by a good amount. And
Sure,
then
you have to.
and then it's like I think Jordan Mason for the next 4 weeks will be pretty similar to where Chase Brown is. So I think maybe later on with a few more good Jordan Mason weeks, then maybe I'd trade him and see if I can sell high then. But I don't think now's the time.
Yeah, you don't trade away Jordan Mason when you're playing Cincy at home, right? I think Mason's going to be maybe a top 5 running back this week. I've been trying to trade for him in fantasy. He's unbelievable. He's one of the best runners. He's an explosive runner. He's got a great O-line. They're gonna be giving him the ball, take some pressure off Wentz. I absolutely love Jordan Mason, so I would do it. And also, I would never trade Nico Collins despite the bad week. But 2 weeks, like getting a Dunze back, it would be a nice consolation. But I already have him everywhere, so I don't need any more Dunze. Because if he gets hurt, knock on wood, I'll quit. Okay, cool. So let's just keep talking about some of the outlier stuff. So Brian, like Minnesota last year was kind of a pass funnel, right? Because their run defense was awesome, their secondary wasn't, and they blitzed a lot. So I think they were top 5 and giving up in passing yards. This season it's flipped. You're able to run on them, but nobody's thrown on them. Which metric do you trust? The 2-game sample or the 17 from last year?
I think it's a little more the 17. I think if we get 3 solid weeks at like 3 weeks, then maybe I'll be like 50-50. But for only 2 weeks, I mean, who did they play? They played
Atlanta and Chicago.
I mean, yeah. Caleb's done nothing. Like I need to see it against other teams. I'm not saying I don't hate Atlanta, but like Atlanta hasn't really passed the ball that well, despite people being really high on Penix coming in. And then Chicago's also they haven't really proved they can pass it either. Is it Minnesota or is it like, I just think there's so many question marks on the 2 teams that they played that I'm not willing to be fully into those 2 games.
Okay. Jason, what about you? I'm going to give you another team here. I'm just going to pull up the stat.
Well, I needed one more word to the wise on Chicago. They've only proven they can pass it when the first 15 plays are scripted.
There you go.
Other than that, it's not great, Bob.
I think Tennessee is another one. They've been really good against the run, terrible against the pass. Like, how much would you guys factor that into your like weekly matchup?
Definitely a little. I think Tennessee's defense is going to improve eventually, especially as Cam Ward gets better and they start sustaining longer and more scoring drives. But for now, I would start anybody against them.
Okay, I can't find it.
Yeah, I mean Tennessee's a younger team. They still have Jeffrey Simmons in the middle. He's a beast at the defensive tackle position. So like I get that tracks for me. I don't, and like they're just going to be playing from I'm not afraid of playing anyone, whether it's a running or a passer against Tennessee, because most likely you're going to be winning. So even if they're great against the run, but you still run it 25 times because you're winning, you still get value there.
Okay. What about teams that historically, like the Steelers, have been awesome defensively, and now looks like one of the worst defensive teams in the league? Are we starting everyone? Like, who's Pittsburgh playing this week?
They are playing the Patriots.
So the Pats. So what? Like, are we starting Ramondre? Are we starting Travion? Like, would you start Drake May over all of the backup QBs?
Yes.
Yeah, still giving up points right now. You might as well.
Yeah, right. So it's it's like trying to ride the wave, but then everyone thought the Bills. Remember we talked about this last week. We thought, okay, the Bills gave up 160 to Derrick Henry. They can't stop the run, and then the Jets, right? I was like, is there any chance the Jets show us that they're the Jets? And then they showed us, right?
Oh yes.
I do think there's like a different level. I almost feel like the NFL is kind of like there's just a different tier of competitors. Like Ravens, Bills showed they're up there. I mean, as a homer, I do think you can say Eagles are up there, Packers are up there. I still would put the Chiefs up there. Yes, they've lost, but like the Chargers have also kind of proved that they can be up there. And then there's like that, oh, I'm just happy to make the playoffs team. And I do feel like it's just a different level this season. Like the Bills are significantly better than a lot of those teams, and they're going to make those teams look quite poor. But against the rest of the league, will Pittsburgh look better on defense? Probably. They still have a bunch of proven talent on defense. And yeah, they sucked at the end of the year, but like they had a gauntlet at the end of the year with who they played, like strength of schedule and all that. So I think it'll bounce back. I don't think they're going to be a top defense, but I don't think they're going to be one of the worst either.
Okay, but so how much do we weigh like those teams that are legit? So the Packers, they probably have the best defense in the league right now. I think maybe top three, whatever. So Quinton Judkins had a monster game. His first game week 2 versus Baltimore, which is historically an elite rush defense. Are we starting Quinton Judkins playing the Packers in week 3, looking like he's the RB1 and a potential maybe the best rookie running back in the class through a tiny sample?
I am not. He's not. I don't trust that backfield. I don't trust that offense. It's just, there's too many question marks. Jerome Ford and Dylan Sampson were still involved. It's not a hill I'm going to die on.
Okay. Okay, Jason, here's one for you. So we've got the Chargers are playing Denver, right? So we got Lat McConkey, who we all love, is going to be with Patrick Surtain. That is 2 really good defensive teams that probably want to run the ball, although Herbert's been slinging it. Would you play Ladd, or in that Cowboys-Bears game, which is probably no one's going to stop anyone, each team's going for 30, would you start Ladd, would you start Pickens, or would you start Odunze?
Ooh, okay, so actually one injury we actually forgot to get to was Lat McConkey is banged up and he missed practice yesterday, so that factors in. I'd actually go with somebody in the other game. I think both the Bears and Cowboys defenses are both struggling. The Cowboys, they could really use a pass rusher. That's right. They had one, a generational one that they got rid of. So they really can't stop the pass right now. So I actually kind of like Rome again on Sunday. He's getting targeted a bunch, and he's finding his way open. And also, I think, if I'm not mistaken, either Deron Bland or Trayvon Diggs is banged up. So that also helps Rome's case.
Okay. Brian, what about you? So like talent, it's like talent versus matchup. I find sometimes we can get we just overrate the matchup and forget the talent. But like Pickens, Odunze, I know you had Odunze 21, but like you're starting AJ Brown over Odunze this week.
I think I was slightly ahead there. I mean, it's just, what are the odds they continue to suck on passing? Some might say high. I would say at some point they're going to have to show they can throw the ball, or it's just going to be 9 men in the box every time. Like I'm going to bet on that reversion back to the mean.
Okay, we're going to wrap up in a minute here. Let's just do a couple more guys who maybe haven't shown it, or frauds.
We did get another fun question that I think you would love to answer. It's a little tight end themed.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah. Okay, Jelko. All right, I got Bowers and Warren as my tight ends. What tight end out of those 2 would you try to trade? I think I can trade Warren for T-Mac. Should I? T-Mac is
Ted McMillan, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Both are a little banged up, but probably fine. I wouldn't trade Bowers. I would probably, I don't know. I'd maybe trade Bowers and start Warren, because value-wise, you're getting more for Bowers. Warren might get you 80% of that. I don't know. Brian, what are you doing?
I love Warren. Like I actually did this. I got really lucky. I had an auction team. I went super high in all the stars. I ended up with like Bowers, Hurts, Barkley, I think CD Lamb. And I did get Warren as a backup tight end, and I just needed depth. So at the beginning of the season, I traded Bowers for what I thought were two good receivers. We'll find out. But I got a lot for him at the time. And I think you can get a lot for Bowers, and that can make the rest of your team way better. So I would almost – I mean, worst case, like you can start them both, and one of them can be a flex if you're not getting what you want. But I would see what you can get for Bowers and just aim as high as you can and see what you can get. Because Warren, yeah, you might get a T-Mac, and that'll be up and down. But I think with Bowers, you could potentially get like a stud, an underperforming receiver, whether it's Drake London or someone like that, where he could just be a stud for the rest of the season. And then you not only have a great tight end still, but you have another stud at receiver.
Okay, Jason. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me.
I agree with this. I'm also very big on Tyler Warren because the other thing, again, that Warren can do that Bowers can't, he can do other things in their offense to sneak you fantasy points. He can throw, he can run. So there's multiple ways to use him as opposed to Bowers where he's only going to be used in the pass game.
Okay. Yeah, it's tough. I think you drafted Warren to hopefully make Bowers expendable. So I think it makes a lot of sense. Warren proved he's great. Yeah, I think trying to move Bowers is ideal, but I'd probably wait for that one good Bowers game, right? Like let him get the 100 yards receiving. So, people are really salivating.
Where do you rank Warren the rest of the season?
What?
Like in tight ends, where do you rank them?
I don't know, 5th? I mean, all right, Bowers, McBride, I'd have Kittle. I'd probably have maybe Kraft and then Warren, unless I'm forgetting somebody.
I think I'm 3.
Wow. I don't hate it. Okay, we got one last question. We gotta go. Oh, Anthony Galatz. Hey guys, should I start Malik Washington tonight? I get kick return points and personally feel he'll be used a lot as the number 3. What do you guys think? So if he's punt returning, I wouldn't worry about that because the Bills aren't going to punt at all. Kickoffs, they're going to score probably a lot of kickoff points, a lot of returns. So it's kind of a nice little sneaky thing. But with Waddle playing, I mean, the wide receiver 3, they also got Nick Westbrook and Keeney. Depends who you'd be playing over Washington, Jason. Is there any way you're playing him?
No, I wouldn't get cute there. You probably have a more viable wide receiver who can get you more points. Kick returns and punt returns aren't easy. It's like if you're going for those, that's like to me a very desperation type play.
But it also depends, like if he can give us this detail, how many people are in the league and what are your kick return points? If it's 10 yards for a kick return, then like
you can get 100 yards.
Yeah, you're pretty much guaranteed almost 25 each kick return. If how many times are the Bills going to score? I'd say they're at least kicking it off 5 times. Like that's a good amount of points. I just don't know how big the rest of the league is and like what are your kick return points.
I think it's got to be at least a 14, 16 team league. You're not starting Malik Washington in a 12 team league.
As a kick returner though, if those are your points, like that's a pretty valuable player because normally the kick returners are backup running backs or backup receivers and not all the time they're going to be a number 3.
Caleb Johnson.
Okay. I don't think Caleb Johnson's going to be seeing the field for a hot minute after for what happened on Sunday.
Yeah. Okay, so that's going to wrap us up. Remember, everyone, we do our Sunday morning show around 10:30 Eastern. Jason was on it. We will not be hungover this time. So this was great. Anyone, if you had any questions you didn't get to, make sure always come over to YouTube, subscribe. You can hit us our Discord. We got our Twitters here. You can tweet at us any questions. Until then, prediction in the game, I'm going to say 38, Buffalo, 21, Miami.
I actually think the Dolphins covered tonight. I actually feel good about the Dolphins covering with those 2 Bills defenders out. So I think the Dolphins can actually put up some degree of points and they find a way to just, keep it within 11.5.
Okay. Brian?
It's going to be a spanking. I have A-Chain in too many leagues and I just hope he gets a lot of catches. That's what I'm aiming for.
Okay. Oh, wow. It's a 10-team league. And so I would not be starting him, but he said he got 28 points with a 70-yard touchdown. So I can't do that math.
70-yard touchdown, 28 points. It's just How
But
often
there's
do
also other kick returns, so it's just like it's
how
not.
often do return touchdowns happen? Is like
I don't
you got
hate it.
percentages on
I
that.
don't hate it if I'm assuming the math is 10 yards of return yards per
Yeah,
point. Like you're getting at least 10 there.
it's fun Thursday sweat too, right? If you don't have much in the game, you're just shooting for the kickoffs.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, that's to do for us. All right, thanks guys, appreciate it. We will see you next week, and I gotta go.